What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. We have a couple topics to cover, and listen, good game overall. Nuggets ended up taking a win, and there's a lot I want to get to in this game. It'll probably be another 2-day segment where I talk about it today, and I also talk about it a little bit tomorrow. Just because there is a lot to break down, and the Nuggets are on another bye week, so maybe I'll do some pregame, what I expect, and obviously break down what I expect for the next game. But I want to talk about a little bit in this game, and the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Christian Braun has been very underwhelming, in my opinion. This is a guy who just got an extension, who I think everybody thought was going to be close to as good as he was last year. And I think that I expected him to take a little bit of a dip, but I didn't think, and I think I said I believe that he was going to be around 12 points per game, maybe not 15. But what we're seeing right now is terrible from a guy who just got extended the way that he did. I mean, you can't come out on a team and, like, listen, Cam Johnson's going to have his struggles. Cam Johnson's a guy who I feel like has been in foul trouble a lot more than I would have expected, but he's also a guy who's new to the system, who hasn't really learned how to play with these guys fully yet outside of, summer training camp and preseason. So you would expect a guy like CB to be able to pick it up right away and actually play to the best of his ability. I know last game he played a lot better. But this game, I mean, listen, 7-3-2 against a team who isn't that good. I mean, that's what I'm going to get to in a little while. Obviously, Jamal had his game. Jokic had his game. I'll get into that all tomorrow because I want to talk about just a few things that I think are more relevant to speaking about right now. And like I said, CB is one of them. You can't be this disappointing after a $125 million extension. It just can't happen. You need to be in that 12 point per game range, which I don't think he's that far off right now. But like I said, 7-3-3. It seems like he's having a hard time finishing at the rim, which I think is interesting because that's what he's sort of known for, right? Like, we thought his 3-point shooting was going to be through the roof, which one for three is not the worst in the world. I'm not going to hate you for shooting 1 for 3 as a player, but it's funny because the other guy that we were talking about, who we think could be a potential, not star in this lineup, but a good player, is Payne Watson, and Payne Watson's been playing well. I mean, CB's had his games, P. Watt has had his games, but this game, P. Watt played 25 minutes, so 2 minutes less than Brown. 12, 2, and 1. Listen, CB grabbed the rebounds. CB also had more assists, but then you look at the defensive end of it, and P. Watt had 2 blocks and 1 steal. I mean, he had a turnover, sure, and I mean the turnover, I believe, was him just stepping out of bounds on a 3-pointer he caught in the corner. So P. Watt's playing well, and it's nice to see, but CB has to be better than what he has been. But talking about people who are playing well and have to be better, or we thought had to be better, Tim Hardaway Jr. It's been nice to see, because this is my whole thing. Stretch and I talk about, I believe just about every game, before and after. And my whole thing was that Tim Hardaway Jr. scared me because we saw Tim Hardaway Jr. not hitting shots. And I think that I got very nervous because you signed him to strictly hit 3-pointers. And if he's not doing that, then he's not really contributing much. And I know he's good defensively. He's not great, but he is good defensively. And I got very nervous because I thought Tim Hardaway Jr. was going to come in and sort of be a stinker and be Dario Saric almost signing of this year. But I mean, listen, 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 6 from the 3-point line. He just did it all. Like, he plays semi-decent defense. He's not terrible. I know he's a little bit older. Maybe he doesn't move like the youngest guy on the court, but he's been very good for Denver. And how could you not be excited about having a guy who could put up 20 off the bench? Like, I feel like Denver hasn't had that. Sure, Russ could do it, but it was a different game. I feel like the games that Russ put up 20 were games that he was doing it in an inefficient way, in my opinion. Even if he shot efficiently, it just seemed inefficient. Like, he was forcing himself to attack the rim, whereas, Tim Hardaway's coming in and you're shooting 6 threes and making 4 of them. How could you not love that around a guy like Nikola Jokic, right? Like, that's all I feel like we've ever asked for, is a guy that Jokic could have around on the bench. And I think that we thought that could have been Julian Strawther, which I'm still a little interested in seeing why he's not touching the court. And I'll probably get into that in tomorrow's episode as well. But like we've been begging for a guy to have 20 off the bench. Like, it's just been a thing where it's like Monte was that guy maybe a couple of years ago, and like you had Bones maybe a few years ago, but that was like so short lived. Where a guy like Tim Hardaway is a proven vet and can actually do it for multiple games, and it's nice to actually see that we finally have a guy who could contribute like that off the bench and is proven. And like I said, the coaching staff likes him. Obviously, you're gonna have JJ and Jared Dudley who like him because he's played with them or he's played against them, and they know about him and his game. And he's a veteran. Like, you have the leadership from him off the bench. He's a veteran leader. He's a guy who can take advantage of every situation that he's in, even if he's not shooting well. He's playing defense well. And in the loss against the Warriors, I just felt like he should have been in over Cam. Like, I covered it I believe it was last episode, 2 episodes, maybe even 3 episodes ago. I think that either he plays more minutes than Cam, or he starts over Cam for a little bit. I mean, like, Cam was in foul trouble. I think he had 5 today. He played 19 minutes to Tim Hardaway's 32, and Tim Hardaway's shooting, insanely efficient. So maybe you move CB down to 3 and you start Tim Hardaway, or vice versa, where, Tim Hardaway's getting starts over Cam right now, because Cam sort of has to figure it out. I know last game he had a better game, or 2 games ago at this point, he had a better game, but I still think there's some figuring out to do on Cam Johnson's side of the floor. Now, the next topic I want to hop into is just taking advantage. And I know that Denver was able to win today, but I felt like it was a game that was too close, right? Like, you go into halftime, you're losing at halftime. I just feel like you can't do that against a team who's hurt. Like, it may if Anthony Edwards was playing, I think you're in a different situation. But when Ant Edwards isn't playing, and like I said, I know that you win, right? Like, I know that you're winning, or it's a win in the column. But when you're down 65 to 57 at half to a team that's missing a top 10 player in the NBA and doesn't really have anybody who's that great, it's nerve-wracking, because Denver has to go on these runs in order to win, when they should just be winning these games in general. Like, it's a game that I feel like Denver should always just be able to win in the snap of a finger. And that's going to get me into my next topic. Like, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Something about the T-Wolves always make it a close game. Like, against Denver, they have our number, and there's nothing that you can really do about it, right? And like I said, I know that we won this game, and it ended up, like, if you look at the box score, it looks like we really wiped them. But it was way too close of a game. I feel like even at the end of the game, I was a little nervous. I thought that there was potential for the Timberwolves to somehow make a little run where they bring it back, 1 or 2 shots, and they get themselves back in the game. Like, 2:27 left, and you're only up by 12 points. And, like, listen, that's not a lot of time, but a couple threes, and now the game's right back in it. Like, the T-Wolves right back in it, and it seemed like we had a tough time stopping Julius Randle for a little while. Which I know he's a good basketball player, but even like Jaden McDaniels, he has these nights, especially against us, where he just doesn't miss, like 10 for 16 from the field. Like, when is Jaden McDaniels having games like that? And it's funny because it always happens against Denver, especially when it's the T-Wolves. Like, Naz Reid shot 2 for 6 from the 3-point line, which isn't great, but 7 for 12 from the field, which is it's insanely efficient. So something about the T-Wolves always make it a close game against Denver, but it is nice to see Denver get another W in the column and be able to go into an off day with a better record than they had yesterday. So good win overall. I know that they were missing Ant, and like I said, I think that things have to be more spot on in order to beat them when they do get Ant back, just because of how good of a team they could be with Ant there. But that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Like I said, I'll have more coverage on the game tomorrow, just talking how good Jamal has been. Jokic having another very, very good game, and a little bit more topics for you guys tomorrow. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for the episode tomorrow, as well as making sure you stay throughout this entire episode today. Get that viewership up. Thanks, guys.